Welcome back, truth seekers and watchful eyes. It's holy servants here, and today we're diving deep into some truly monumental headlines that, for many of us, are echoing with a profound sense of biblical prophecy. We're talking about global shifts, massive power plays, and a geopolitical landscape that seems to be rearranging itself right before our very eyes. Now, if you've been following the news, you can't have missed it. NATO is pledging unprecedented new military spending. We're talking about figures that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. And then there's Germany, a nation whose historical trajectory has always been a point of fascination and, for some, a source of prophetic speculation. Germany, my friends, is surging back into a position of significant military and economic power in Europe. And what makes this even more fascinating, even more intriguing, is the role of President Donald Trump in all of this. For years, he was a vocal critic of NATO, demanding allies pay their fair share. Now he's actually praising this military buildup, hailing it as a necessary step. This brings us to the core question that many of you have been asking in the comments, in my DMs, and in every conversation I have these days. Are we, right now, witnessing the prophetic rise of the beast system described in the books of Daniel and Revelation? Is this strengthening freedom, as some suggest, or are we inadvertently setting the stage for a global system that the Bible warned us about thousands of years ago? Today we're going to break down these headlines, connect them to biblical prophecy, and try to understand what's really unfolding in the world around us, and perhaps even more importantly, what we can expect to come next. Stick with us, because this is going to be an incredibly insightful and, frankly, vital discussion. Let's start with NATO. For decades, since its inception in 1949, NATO has been the cornerstone of transatlantic security. Born out of the ashes of World War II and the looming threat of the Soviet Union, it was designed as a collective defense alliance. An attack on one is an attack on all. And for a long time, particularly after the Cold War, there were questions about its relevance. Were we seeing a peace dividend? Would militaries shrink? But how times have changed. The unprovoked aggression in Eastern Europe has fundamentally reshaped the security landscape. Nations that once hesitated are now pouring billions, even hundreds of billions, into their defense budgets. We're talking about a significant shift, and it's not just talk, it's tangible commitments. Consider this. According to recent reports, and you can find this confirmed by reputable sources like the NATO official website and major news outlets like Reuters and the Associated Press, a significant number of NATO members are now meeting or exceeding the 2% of GDP defense spending target. And the pledges for the coming years are even more ambitious. This isn't just about modernizing armies, it's about a fundamental rearmament of the Western world. Now let's bring in the Trump factor. It's truly fascinating. For years, as I mentioned, he was the primary antagonist of NATO in many ways, constantly chastising members for not paying their fair share, even suggesting at times that the US might not come to their aid if they were attacked and hadn't met their obligations. It created a lot of tension within the alliance, but recently, his tune has changed dramatically. He's now openly praising the increased spending, seeing it as a validation of his earlier demands. He views it as a win, as strengthening the alliance. And from a purely geopolitical perspective, you can see why he might. A stronger NATO, with more robust contributions from its members, theoretically lessens the burden on the United States and presents a more formidable front against potential adversaries. But here's where the prophetic alarm bells start to ring for many of us. When we talk about a massive global military alliance with immense economic power behind it and a renewed sense of purpose and unity, our minds, if we're familiar with Scripture, inevitably turn to the prophecies of Daniel and Revelation. Let's turn our attention to the book of Daniel first. In Daniel chapter 7, we read about 4 great beasts rising out of the sea, each representing a kingdom or empire. And then, in verses 7 and 8, we get a description of the 4th beast. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. Now, biblical scholars have debated the exact interpretation of these beasts for centuries, but a common understanding, particularly among those who hold a futurist view of prophecy, is that this 4th beast represents a final, powerful, oppressive global empire. The 10 horns are often interpreted as 10 kings or 10 allied nations that form this ultimate power structure. Why is this relevant now? Because the scale and scope of NATO's renewed military might, coupled with the increasing integration and coordination among its members, begins to paint a picture that, for some, bears a striking resemblance to a powerful, unified entity capable of wielding immense global influence and force. But it's not just NATO. Let's talk about Germany. Oh, Germany, the engine of Europe. For decades after World War II, Germany maintained a relatively restrained military posture. It was a nation focused on economic recovery and integration into the European project. Its military was primarily for defensive purposes, and significant offensive capabilities were largely avoided. This was by design, a conscious effort to move past the shadows of its past. But the geopolitical tremors we've witnessed have shaken Germany to its core. The current German government has announced a massive increase in defense spending, pledging a Zeitenwende, a turning point or epochal shift in its foreign and security policy. This isn't just about meeting NATO targets, it's about a fundamental rearmament and a reassertion of Germany's role on the global stage. And let's be clear, when Germany, the economic powerhouse of Europe, decides to rearm on this scale, it sends ripples across the entire continent and, indeed, the world. Its industrial capacity, its technological prowess, these are formidable assets. And when channeled into military strength, they create a force to be reckoned with. Now, why is Germany so often brought up in prophetic discussions, particularly concerning the beast system? Well, it goes back to the historical interpretation of the Roman Empire. Many prophecy scholars believe that the revived Roman Empire is a key component of the end times scenario. And geographically, culturally, and historically, Germany has deep ties to the legacy of the Holy Roman Empire, which itself claimed to be a successor to the ancient Roman Empire. Furthermore, the Book of Revelation with these ancient prophecies. And the speed at which these changes are occurring, the suddenness of the Zeitenwende, the rapid rearmament, it all feels accelerated. So what's the connection? Is it simply a coincidence that NATO is rearming, Germany is rising, and simultaneously, we have influential figures like Donald Trump endorsing these very developments? Or are we seeing a divinely orchestrated, albeit seemingly chaotic, alignment of events that is setting the stage for something far greater than mere geopolitical maneuvering? Let's pause here for a moment and consider the implications. If we truly are witnessing the preliminary stages of a prophetic fulfillment, then the conventional understanding of global politics starts to shift dramatically. It's no longer just about economic interests or national security. It becomes about a much larger cosmic narrative. Welcome back. Before the break, we were discussing the profound implications of NATO's massive military spending and Germany's resurgence, especially in light of biblical prophecy. We looked at Daniel and Revelation, and how many interpret these passages to describe a powerful, unified global system in the end times. Now let's address the counter-argument, or at least the mainstream narrative, that this military buildup is simply a necessary response to current threats, a strengthening of democratic alliances, and a deterrent to aggression. From that perspective, a stronger NATO is a good thing. It ensures stability, protects sovereignty, and maintains a balance of power. And President Donald Trump's endorsement, from this view, is simply pragmatic politics. And indeed, there's a strong argument to be made for that. In a world where nation-states still exist and aggression remains a threat, military preparedness is seen as essential. No one wants to see conflict, but the argument goes that strength is the best way to prevent it. However, for those of us who view current events through a prophetic lens, there's a deeper layer. The Bible doesn't necessarily condemn strength or alliances in themselves. What it warns about is a specific kind of global power, one that becomes oppressive, that demands worship, and that ultimately stands in opposition to divine authority. And this is where the nature of this emerging system becomes critical. Is it merely a defensive alliance, or could it evolve into something more? The very idea of a global system is central to prophetic discussions. Think about it: a unified economic system, a unified political system, and now a powerfully unified military system, all potentially overseen by a central authority. Let's look at Revelation 13 again, verses 16 and 17. It says, "Also it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name." This passage describes an overarching system of control, economic control in particular. And while we're focusing on military might today, it's crucial to remember that military power often goes hand in hand with economic and political power. An alliance with significant military strength also wields immense economic leverage. Consider the sanctions regimes we've seen implemented globally. These are examples of economic power being used as a weapon, coordinated by powerful alliances. While ostensibly for good, the sheer potential for control in a truly unified global economic and military system is something that gives prophecy watchers pause. Now, let's talk about the phrase I used in the intro: prophetic fulfillment. Many people hear that and think of some far-off, apocalyptic event. But prophecy often unfolds in stages, like a play revealing its acts one by one. And sometimes, the very things that seem like solutions to immediate problems, like strengthening an alliance for security, can, in a larger divine plan, be part of a much bigger unfolding narrative. Think about the concept of convergence. What we're seeing isn't just one isolated event. It's a convergence of several seemingly disparate trends: heightened global tensions, a massive military rearmament, the rise of powerful alliances, and a shifting balance of power. When these trends converge, it creates a powerful signal for those who are watching and waiting. And what about the human element? The desire for peace, for security, for order. These are universal human aspirations. And often, in times of great uncertainty and fear, humanity naturally gravitates towards strong leadership and powerful solutions. This is not a judgment, merely an observation of human nature and history. And it's this very human desire for order that, in some prophetic interpretations, can inadvertently lead to the acceptance of a system that ultimately curtails freedom in the name of security. Let's consider the phrase, "It started in Israel," from our intro graphic. This is often tied to the idea that Jerusalem and the broader Middle East remains the focal point of end times prophecy. The Abrahamic covenant, the prophecies concerning Israel's restoration, and the ultimate return of Christ to Jerusalem, these are central tenets of biblical prophecy. So, if a global system is indeed rising, how does Israel fit into it? Prophecy suggests that this final global power will have a significant interaction with Israel, sometimes even coming against it. This interplay between a powerful global entity and the nation of Israel is another key indicator for those who believe we are in the end times. So, where does this leave us? Are we saying that NATO is inherently evil, or that Germany's rearmament is unequivocally demonic? Not necessarily. What we are saying is that the scale and scope of these developments, when viewed through the lens of biblical prophecy, present a picture that demands careful consideration and spiritual discernment. The prophetic texts don't always name names of specific modern entities, but they describe patterns, characteristics, and power structures. and the characteristics of a unified, powerful, global military and economic system that emerges from a specific geographical region, particularly Europe, aligns strikingly with many interpretations of the beast system. For those of us who believe in the accuracy and divine inspiration of Scripture, these aren't just fascinating geopolitical shifts. They are potential signs, markers along a timeline that God has laid out. They are calls to be vigilant, to be discerning, and to understand the times we are living in. What does this mean for you personally? It means not getting swept away by the hype, whether it's the celebratory rhetoric of a stronger alliance or the fear-mongering of doom scenarios. Instead, it means grounding yourself in truth. It means studying the Scriptures for yourself. Don't just take my word for it, or anyone else's. Read Daniel, read Revelation, pray for wisdom and understanding. Ask God to show you what He wants you to see. It also means living intentionally. If these are indeed the times leading up to major prophetic fulfillments, then our priorities, our values, and our actions matter more than ever. It's a call to share the message of hope, to live righteously, and to be a light in a world that is increasingly complex and, frankly, sometimes frightening. The Bible isn't just a book of predictions, it's a guide for life. And while the prophecies can seem overwhelming, their ultimate purpose is to give us hope, to assure us that God is in control, and to prepare us for what is to come. So, as we watch these unprecedented military buildups, as we observe the re-emergence of powerful nations, and as we see the shifting global landscape, let us do so with eyes wide open, not just to the headlines, but to the divine narrative that is unfolding. The beast system isn't necessarily about a single person or a single nation, but a complex, interconnected web of power and control. And whether it's strengthening freedom or setting the stage for something else, the important thing is that we are aware, we are informed, and most importantly, we are spiritually prepared. Thank you for joining me today on this crucial discussion. If this video resonated with you, please hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our future deep dives. Your engagement truly helps us reach more people with these vital truths. Until next time, stay watchful, stay discerning, and God bless. Shalom.